Hey you guys, we are back with another video, and for this video I wanted to talk about intuitive nudges and how you can kind of sense when your intuition is trying to lead you to a certain place, a destination, in regards to your highest good. And so what do I mean by this? So for example, let's say someone has just recently lost their job. They're going through all sorts of turmoil. They're resisting the change that has occurred, and they're like sad, miserable, depressed, or they're just moping around and they don't really know what to do, right? They had in their head basically this plan of how they would end up, and all of a sudden their plan gets thrown into the blender by the universe, and now they have no idea what to do because their entire life is in shambles and there's no plan. And for most people, this is what is known as the beginning of a spiritual awakening. It's when your life gets turned upside down and nothing makes sense anymore, right? The way that you had your life planned out, it made sense to you. There was a certain kind of direction to it. You saw where you would be in the next 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 years. But when that plan suddenly disappears, all of a sudden, then you don't know what to do anymore. And you start to have all these doubts. You may wallow in your own misery. But in reality, these kind of events occur for a very specific reason. And that's because in order for change to occur, chaos must first take place. And so by turning your life upside down, your higher self, your intuition, is basically stepping in and telling you that the path you're on is not for you. It's not going to work out. That's why I'm throwing your life plan into the blender, because I have something much greater for you that is much more aligned with who you are in the moment that you are in now. You can see this as we go through life. We change over time, right? We don't really stay stagnant in one place. Who we are when we're 20 years old is different from how we were when we were 5 years old. Our wants, our needs, our desires, our outlook on life changes as we age, as we acquire experiences. And so in order to keep our soul growth and the experiences, the excitement, what we learn, to keep these things fresh, we need to go through changes. And we need to change basically the kind of experiences that we have. The only way to do that is to basically turn your old life upside down so that you can then experience the new changes. And this is because the universe, aka your higher self, is very intelligent. It knows that humans don't like to change unless they're forced to. Nobody would just spontaneously wake up one morning and be like, I quit my job because I love it, right? It brings me safety, it pays the bills, takes care of everything, it buys me like my fancy car, my house, feeds my kids. It's very comfortable, it's very safe, and you kind of, there's no risk involved, there's no like challenge to that. Well, the universe knows this, right? And it's like, But at the same time, even though this is safe, and I know that this is what you would prefer, a life of just, being, what's that word, consistent? That's not why you're here. You're here to experience a whole number of experiences that you can go through. A large variety of experiences to help feed your soul. Because what your soul wants is a large number of experiences. If it only wanted one particular experience, it wouldn't be here on Earth, because Earth, it's a place of, you could consider it a duality, right? So there is good, there is bad, there is conflict, whereas on other planets and other realities, these things don't exist. So in other universes, other realities, everyone lives in peace. There's no such thing as conflict, there's no such thing as hardship, there's no challenge. It's basically just like a paradise, where everything is given to you and you never have to really work for anything. And the truth is that our soul gets tired of that if we experience that all the time, right? It's the reason why you see people going outdoors into the wilderness to go camping every now and then. Why would they do that when they have a cushy city to live in, right? It's because they like that challenge where they have to kind of fend for themselves and they're not sure what's going to happen. Is there dangers of them being attacked by animals? Of course. And you hear stories like this, but how many millions of campers around the world still do this despite the danger that is inherent? And the answer is, people still go camping every single year. Because they like the experience of it. Even though it may present a challenge, even though it may not be a very, the easiest, as easy as, let's say, living in a city, it still presents to them a experience that they want to continue to have in their life that is different from the norm. And so that's why the soul wants many new experiences. That's why the soul comes to, for example, these kind of planets, like planet Earth, which is considered the hardest planet in the entire universe to live on. Because it wants a challenge. It wants to test itself. It wants to see what is it capable of. Because if you're always living in paradise, right, then you never really find out what your full potential is. And so, where I'm going with this is, when your life gets turned upside down, that's part of the plan. That's part of the universe's plan for you. It's not necessarily your plan, because your plan is, for a better word, very shallow, right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life working at this job, feeding my kids, and then I'm gonna grow old and I'm gonna pass away, right? Your soul's like, wow, that's the most boring thing I've ever heard. If you wanted to do that, like, we could do that in paradise. In fact, that's where we're gonna go after this incarnation ends. So why would we continue to live that way, right? I'm here because I want to experience the joys and thrills of living on this planet. I want to be excited, I want to be challenged, I want to experience, this roller coaster that we call life, where things get turned upside down and then we have to find ways to use our own creativity, our own inner power, our skill, our wisdom, our experiences to try and get through it. So in a way you could say it's almost a test, right? Because it's testing whether or not you're able to use the experiences that you have accumulated on your time on living on Earth. Can you use those experiences to help you get out of the situation that you are currently facing, or the challenge that is currently in front of you? And if you can't, then you kind of know what areas of your life do you still need to improve on, and what kind of experiences you need to experience more of, right? Because with the more experiences you have in regards to a particular area, the better you get at it, right? So it's like you need more practice facing this particular kind of hardship. So with your intuition and your higher self's plan for you, you need to realize that even though it turns your life upside down, it doesn't do so without a good reason. It always knows that you have the capability to get through the challenge that it has put in front of you. Because your higher self is not cruel, right? It knows that I am not going to present a challenge to myself unless I'm confident that I'd be able to overcome it. there must be some solution. There must be a solution. It's just that either, number one, we don't see what that solution is because we are too focused on the problem, or number two, the time is not yet right. We don't have all the tools with us at the moment, and we kind of need time to maybe accumulate more experiences in order for us to overcome that problem. So let's say we need to climb a brick wall, right? So your first day of trying to climb the brick wall, you're going to fail because your muscles are weak, your fingers are weak, your technique is weak. And so you're like, this brick wall is too difficult to climb, I'm going to give up. But the brick wall is still going to be there. You're still going to have to look at it every single day when you wake up. And you know that unless you climb the brick wall, you're not going to be able to get to the other side. And your higher self wants you to get to the other side. And so even if you try to run away from the brick wall, it's just going to put wall after wall in front of you and force you to basically keep trying. And over time, what happens is that our technique may get better, our muscles may get stronger, our fingers may get stronger, and we might not be able to climb the wall entirely, but we will be able to climb the wall, right? Maybe it's only halfway, maybe it's only 75% of the way before we fall back on our butts. But our higher self, the universe, sees this and it's just like, okay, I see that he's at least trying to overcome this challenge. Instead of just simply running away from it, he's actually trying. And even though he is failing, he doesn't give up, right? So maybe I will lower the wall a little bit for him. Because he's trying, then therefore I'm going to make it easier for him. But if he's not going to try at all, and if he's just going to act like, a spoiled child and throw a tantrum, then I'm just going to make the challenge even harder for him. Because he needs to be disciplined. It's the way we discipline our kids, right? When they are acting spoiled or something, we don't reward them and say like, okay, you're allowed to act spoiled. We're just going to give you everything you want, right? No, you have to stand firm and discipline them and show them that there is a better way than simply being a victim, which is the biggest problem that's currently present here on Earth, where there are many challenges that are present in our society, but there are also many victims as a byproduct of those challenges. And so back to how your intuition nudges you in the right direction when you're facing a problem. Basically, every problem that is presented to you is also an opportunity for you to place your faith in the universe. What I mean by this is not every problem is supposed to be solved by you. So this is something very interesting that I learned, is that sometimes a problem appears in front of you because there is no solution, and what you're meant to do is to accept that there's no solution and ask for help, which means learning how to be humble and accepting that this problem that is in front of me right now, I cannot solve it. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I keep falling on my butt and I can't get over this brick wall that is in front of me. The only way I'm going to get over it is if I ask someone for help, or if I get someone to help me. That's the only way I'm going to be able to get over the brick wall that's in front of me. And some challenges in life, that's particularly how it goes. You don't necessarily have to ask for help from physical people either, right? So basically, we all have a team of what we call spirit guides or teachers. They're all around us. You can think of them as angels. They're all around us. They're here to help us. And all we need to do is ask them for help, and they will point us in the right direction. They'll kind of nudge us towards a certain solution. And that's where I want to talk about in terms of your intuition. So when you ask for help from your spirit guides, basically they're going to start nudging you in a certain direction, right? So for example, maybe you're like, I hate my job and I want to do something that will make me passionate and fun and excited, right? So an example of a nudge might be you start to lose interest in your job. Your boss might start yelling at you more and more, and then your satisfaction at your job eventually just keeps declining and declining and declining, and then eventually it results in you getting laid off. So that's an example of your spirit guides or the universe wanting to nudge you in a certain direction, right? It's giving you time. It's not immediately saying, okay, you're gone, bye-bye. It's kind of slowly lowering your satisfaction towards that particular activity so that you have time to kind of prepare for the change that is coming, that is going to come in. Because you wanted a career that makes you passionate and excited, right? Because your old career doesn't do that. So that's why they had to get rid of the old in order to make room for the new. It's just that within this transition period, it's very traumatic to people because they don't know what's going on, right? They're like, oh my gosh, I lost my job. There goes my financial security and my safety. And they focus on that. And they keep focusing on that, and they keep focusing on that. And they don't see that their spirit guides are trying to help them and push them, nudge them in the right direction, right? So our spirit team is working very hard to nudge us towards the dream job that we've always wanted, but then we keep focusing on, I lost my old job, and I'm miserable, therefore I'm not going to do anything, and that's not going to make anyone happy, right? But the problem is that we have free will, so our helpers can't help us unless we ourselves decide to take action and listen to the hints that they give us. Good example of this that I want to share with you is today, right? I wanted to change my phone plan because my phone carrier just basically sucks. They're overcharging me, and the network has been very terrible. So I'm not able to like receive messages, right? They only show up like maybe 3 hours later. And so basically I'm just like, enough is enough, right? I want to change my phone plan. And this has been going on for the last maybe 6 months already. So I already wanted to change my phone plan 6 months ago. It's just I didn't actually take action and do it until today. And I already had in mind the carrier that I was going to switch to. I already had in mind the plan that I wanted. And I already had in mind what my price point was. So I had all these things planned out in advance. And I also knew that what store to go to in order to get the change done. But as I was walking towards the store, my guides were basically nudging me in another direction, right? So I was literally standing right in front of the store. I was about to go in. And they started nudging me towards the left, which is like, go like that way, right? Down the hall. And I'm just like, why would you want me to go down the hall? That makes no sense, right? It's literally right in front of me. I literally just have to walk a few steps in, get my phone plan changed, and like go home. That's all I want to do. But they were very insistent. And the way you can feel what I mean by they're very insistent is your intuition is kind of telling you like, go this way. And in your head, you're like, that makes absolutely no sense. So that's the first sign, which is you're going to say, you're telling me to do this, but that makes absolutely no sense. That's how you know that it's an intuitive nudge from your spirit helpers. Because number one, it makes no sense to your logical mind. Number two is how you can tell it's an intuitive nudge from your spiritual helpers, is that there is a feeling of insistence. So I could have ignored what they told me and simply not gone to that way, right? I could have just gone straight in and done my business the way I wanted to do it. But I knew if I did that, then I would, for the rest of the day and for the rest of the number of weeks afterward, it would always be on my mind, where my guides would kind of like pop this thought into my head, where it's just like, hey, remember we told you to go left, you didn't go left? What could that have been? And then just kind of whisper and leave that like hanging in the air, that kind of thought, to kind of like prompt you to get the hint that they're trying to help you, right? Don't ignore their help, because what they want is what you want, and they're here to help you get it. So basically what I did was I went left. Despite all rational thought, I went left, and I walked down the hall, and what do you know? There was another phone shop there, which I had no idea existed. But again, I was kind of resistant, right? So I paused outside that shop, and I was going to turn around, because I'm just like, you want me to go to that shop? Like, it doesn't look anything like what I was expecting, right? So that particular shop, the carrier is known to maybe not be as good as the one that I was going to go to. But then again, my spirit guides, my angels, were the ones that led me there. And because I have had a history of working with my spirit guides, I kind of know how they work. Even though my mind was telling me, like, we should go back and go to the store that we were going to go in, like, don't go in there. Part of me was just like, why am I afraid to go into that store, even though it doesn't look like what I'm expecting, right? I know it's like an intuitive nudge from my spirit guides. So why am I resisting it? So I basically said, what the hell, right? Let's just go in. The worst case scenario, I can almost walk out. So if we're having difficulty, this is number 3. If we're having difficulty with an intuitive nudge from our spirit guides, our spirit helpers, what I like to do is I like to offer a way for me to get out of the situation if possible, right? So for me, right, I didn't want to go into the store because I was anxious. I was afraid that I was going to end up in the wrong place. And so I basically counteracted that fear, because fear is the one thing that's going to hold us back when it comes to intuitive nudges. Our fear is always going to hold us back from taking action and saying, I'm going to go for it. So the way you counteract this fear is to give yourself a way out, right? If I go in and I don't like it, I can just come back out. That's the worst possible scenario, right? I don't have to sign up with that phone carrier if I don't want to, right? I can always walk out. That is an option for me. If I want to leave my job, right? Maybe I don't leave my job. I just start working part-time, and I use that time where I'm not working to look for a new job. So I don't completely quit. I just kind of have one foot in, one foot out, right? Until I'm ready to make a commitment and a decision, then I fully jump off the cliff. But anyway, back to my story. So I went into the store. One of the sales representatives basically approached me instantly, asked me what I was looking for, and I knew it was the right place to be, because basically the carrier that I was going to visit in the first store, they're called Chatter, right? CHATR. The minute I walked into the store that was down the hall, there was a sign that says Chatter is offered here, even though the phone carrier is Fido. That's what we have here in Canada. But I saw that sign, right in front of me, my face, so I knew that I was in the right place, that my angels were the ones that led me here. Because all this time I was just like, but what if they don't like have my phone carrier? What if I have to sign on with like another carrier that like is even worse than what I have now? And I have all these thoughts in my head that don't do anything to help me find the solution. But the minute I walked into the store, I saw that sign right there that says, what I'm looking for is offered here. I knew, okay, I'm in good hands. I don't have to worry anymore. So I told the guy basically what I wanted, and he found me something that was even better than what I was going to get for the same price. And that's how I know that that's how I knew that it was my spirit guides, right? I already kind of had an intuitive nudge earlier in the day because I was feeling very excited to go outside for some reason, and I was kind of attributing I was kind of trying to find out what that excitement was about. So it's Easter Monday today, and at the time of this video. So I woke up this morning, and I was feeling very excited, right? Probably because of the newfound energies that usually come in on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Basically trying to spur you in order to take action to better your life. I went along with my intuitive nudges. I went along with like that excitement to follow the kind of path that my guides had laid out for me. And so I ended up getting what I wanted. It ended up being better than what I actually wanted, and I managed to add another example of how the universe works in your favor into my books, right? So I've had a number of examples of me being able to work with my spirit guides in order to get them to help me get what I want. So I already kind of have like a history and I remember all these examples. So it's easier for me to take action and do what my angels want me to do, even if it doesn't make any rational sense, because I've done it before. Some examples of this are when I dropped out of university. That was one example, a nudging, an intuitive nudging. Another example was starting my own business, my own copywriting business. Another example was buying a particular item, which was considered a luxury item, which actually is not a luxury item, and ended up being the best decision of my life, which is my scooter. As I use it to travel, I use it to visit the nature park. You may have seen some of my videos where I just shoot it in like a really nice remote location that I get there by my scooter, not by my car. I don't have a car. What else are intuitive nudgings? My diet has changed because of that. So now I basically only eat vegetarian and carbs. I don't eat meat anymore, just because my body can't really process it. And today, right, changing my phone plan. I was going to go straight, but they told me to go left, and so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go with it. So that's 5 examples that I've given you. These are personal to me, so they're special to me. But because I've done it, and I understand the pattern of how they get me to do things, I'm a little bit more comfortable and I'm less resistant to taking action when they want me to take action. I'd say the biggest jump for me was dropping out of university. That was the hardest cliff to jump off. But once you jump off that first cliff, the rest are very easy to do. It's much easier for you, right? Your first time is always going to be the most difficult. And if it scares you, and if it's probably something that you should look into, right? If it scares you, that means that fear is the only reason that's preventing you from taking action. Even though you know that you're going to end up in a better place, you're afraid to do it because of fear. So again, the best way to get over that fear is 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Leave an exit for yourself, and go down the path that you want to go down. And if you don't want to go down that path, then leave an exit for yourself, right? So go part-time instead of full-time. That way, if you don't like it, you can always go back to your old job if it doesn't work out. So yeah, that's all the information I have in regards to intuitive nudgings, how to deal with them, how to use them in your life, and how you know when it's actually your intuition at work versus you are just being crazy. Most of the time, if you're being told, if you feel this intuitive nudge to do something, and your logical mind is like, that makes absolutely no sense, you are crazy if you're going to do that, I'm going to call you crazy. If your mind, if your logic thinks that it's crazy, most likely it is intuitive nudge. Very rarely will you be able to see the whole picture until you actually go through that test. So for me, when they told me to go left down the hallway, I was like, you're crazy, right? But at that moment I said, you're crazy. But once I went down that hall, then I started to see how all the pieces started coming together. I'm like, oh, I see, you're no longer crazy. But again, I hesitated at the store. I was going to go in. I didn't want to go in, right? I hesitated. I was like, maybe I should go back. But then, because again, my mind was saying you're crazy. But then once I went in, and then I saw the sign that said chatter is offered here, then I knew for sure that I was no longer crazy. And then my rational mind stepped out of the way, allowed my spirit guides to then step in and finish the process for me. So you will only see the pieces coming together and making sense when you are on the path, when you're walking down the path. Some people are afraid of that. Some people find it difficult to just walk in the dark, which is again why I use the 1 foot in, 1 foot out technique. And you can also ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen, right? So for people, they may be afraid to jump their job or lose their job because of financial stability. But you need to realize that, and this is what I've also discovered myself, If you refuse to take action on an intuitive nudge from your spirit guides, they will then force you to take action eventually down the road. You will just lose your job outright, eventually. This will happen if they want you to go in a particular direction. You can resist the change for all you want to kind of buy yourself time to get ready, but know that at the end of the day, or the end of the year, or whenever, at the end of it, you are going to have to jump off that cliff, whether or not you like it. So at first they may tell you like, hey, I'm going to nudge you off the cliff. I'm just going to poke you very gently, right? We want you to jump off the cliff. And you're like, what? I don't want to jump off the cliff. It's very high. I'm going to die. The next day, they may start blowing the wind, and the wind might push you towards the edge of the cliff and be like, hey, we kind of want you to jump off the cliff. So they'll give you these repeat signs, and again, you might be like, I don't want to jump off the cliff. Then they may, I don't know, get birds to fly in your face so that you stumble backwards towards the cliff, because they're like, hey, we want you to get off the cliff. And you're like, I don't want to jump off the cliff. Eventually what they're going to do, they're going to send a tiger, and the tiger is going to want to eat you. So you have a choice in that moment, right? You either let the tiger eat you, or you jump off the cliff in order to avoid the tiger. My personal opinion is it's better to jump when they want you to jump. So the amount of resistance that you present in relation to not taking action will manifest itself before you in order to get you to do what you need to do. So for example, if you're absolutely terrified of jumping off a cliff, that emotion that you feel, they will eventually present to you a similar situation that makes you feel that exact emotion in order to get you to face your fear. So if, let's say, your level of fear is a 9 in jumping off a cliff, if you see a tiger behind you and he's going to eat you, that level of fear is also a 9, right? It's basically a life or death situation. So they're going to use that, the same amount of resistance that you give to that issue, they're going to use it to get you to move in the direction that you're supposed to go. So it's kind of very funny, right? It's very ironic. The more we resist, the harder they're going to push in order to get us to do what it is that we need to do. So yeah, I guess the purpose of this video is, if you have a difficult decision to do in your life, and you're not sure whether or not you should take action, just know that it might be an intuitive nudge from the universe to get you to move in the right direction and to go somewhere where it's going to be much better for you, right? Every single time, you're going to end up in a much happier place that's going to be better than what you expected, as long as you don't resist the changes that are coming. If you resist the changes that are coming, you try to sabotage what the universe is trying to do for you, then yeah, you're going to end up in a worse place. But if you just go along with the flow and allow things to play out as they play out, then you will end up in a much happier place. That is my promise. From all my experiences of working with my spirit guides and having them basically guide me, blindfolded, because that's what it feels like. I'm basically blindfolded. They're the ones guiding me. I have complete faith in them now. Well, not complete faith, right? I still do resist now and then. I will, like, complain, even though they want me to go left. I will complain the entire way, but then at a certain point I'll stop complaining, because it makes sense to me. But what's important is actually taking the action and going through with the change. So that's it for this video. I hope you got some sort of information or inspiration from it in helping you to overcome any challenges that may be present in your life. I guess the biggest thing is know that the challenge does not have to be immediately solved. They will give you time, but if you refuse to go along with the changes, then eventually they will be forced upon you, whether you like it or not. There is no running away from it. You can run to buy yourself some time, but eventually just realize that you will have to face the issue that you're trying to avoid. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know if there's anything, other videos that you'd like to see, and also if you'd like to donate to my channel and support me, there is a donation link in the description box. There's no pressure for you to donate at all, but if you did, I would be eternally grateful for your support. And that's all I have to say. Peace and love to you all. See you in the next video. Namaste to you and your loved ones, and peace out.